So, the big question is this: how are entrepreneurs and real estate investors like us, ones who want to grow our businesses and who are tired of paying for really expensive alternative lending? How do we tap into the most inexpensive money available and do it without the hassle of typical borrowing? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. I'm Merrill Chandler, and welcome to the Are You Effable podcast. OMG. Welcome, you guys. This is Merrill Chandler, your host of Are You Effable? And I'm here at FICO World, and my co-host is going to be Jessica Tabora. She is a member of my team, and we're here at FICO World, and I'm going to tell you a couple of things about why FICO, what FICO means to you, and why FICO matters. So do not move. I'll be back in a second, and we will get to it. We're back, guys. I'm here with Jessica Tabora.
Hi.
She is with me here at FICO 19, FICO World 19.
Coming true this week. I've been wanting to come for 4 years.
The better part of 5 years, right?
Long time.
And you guys, I get excited about this. I actually trampled over a couple of team members earlier today because in my enthusiasm and excitement to...
Yeah, it happens. It happens. I was the team member he was talking about.
Shh, don't say anything.
It's okay.
But we're going to... The podcast here is why FICO? Why does FICO matter? And what is it about FICO that changes your fundability? What do we need to do to make sure? And so I just need you guys to understand, because we refer to it all the time. We're at FICO World 3 years in a row now. Why? So let's get started. First of all, Jessica, tell us about FICO's score. What percentage of FICO lender decisions are done by FICO versus every other scoring platform out there? FICO scores.
FICO versus FICO.
Yeah.
Well, all decisioning is done by FICO. So if you have Merrill's talked about it before. How deep are we going? Do we want to
go for it?
Guess we're calling them out. If you have a Credit Karma, if you use them, then those are FICO scores. So everyone is using FICO decisioning. And
by everyone, we mean 90% plus, because there are a few
decisioning
across the United States. Now, FICO is even going into world
overseas
dynamics. There are 60 countries represented here at this FICO, 60 countries that are implementing FICO technologies.
Yeah, so we're getting into a few different percentages here. So let's keep these straight. So first of all, 90% of all financial approvals come from the FICO score. And then another one that we're going to be talking about and that you've heard Merrill talk about is that 80% of approvals are from your personal profile. So since we're going to be saying several different percentages, I just want to make sure we're all straight on these. So 90% of all approvals are from FICO.
Approvals across the board for all consumer decisioning and business decisioning. Yes. Business approvals come 80% from the personal side, right? So this is why we're saying that FICO matters, because, and we'll continue to go. Now, it's the leader in lender fraud detection. They have an entire thing called FICO Falcon fraud detection.
Oh man!
Tell us about your class.
Yesterday, I went to a class, and this is no joke. We'll get into this in a later podcast after we review our notes together. But no joke, lender or FICO is the leader in fraud detection and fraud prevention as well. With this whole conference is about AI and everything, all their products, everything they're pushing towards is about fraud detection and prevention. Yeah, lots of exciting things that we'll talk about in another episode.
One of the groups that we went and spoke with is the application fraud manager. They actually have a software outfit that shows us, and they told us, our group that we were introduced to by our ambassador, our solutions ambassador, Dennis.
Awesome.
We have a solutions ambassador assigned to us to make sure that every single one of our questions get answered. And
he's great. He just comes up and checks in with us, walks us to the different booths we need to talk to.
These guys are top drawer. And what's up with FICO? So nice.
Every single person here at FICO or associated with FICO, the nicest people in the whole world. Just how are you doing? Like genuinely wanting to know how your day's going, what you're interested in, what business you're in, how they can help you, giving all the information they need. Shout out to every
Yeah,
single person
shout out to
at FICO.
FICO. Hashtag FICO customer client relations
If
rules.
you need to learn how to be a better person, go hang out with people from FICO.
Right. No, seriously, because I was in a class on Monday, the executive experience, right? It's for CEOs, etc. And they had a private lunch, and I go into the private lunch, and like the vice president over analytics,
Yeah.
the whole table is empty. I'm the first one seated at the table. Vice president of analytics comes and sits down next to me, introduces himself. We just start chatting it up. And then he points out all the other VPs of who we need to talk to, who then I take to our ambassador and say, oh, by the way, Alan, name dropping, Alan said we need to talk to Tony.
Yeah.
And Tony's over.
It's just Domino's fault. They welcome you with open arms. They're not trying to hide anything, which we talk about a lot, is that there's that adversarial relationship, and they don't want it to be that way.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here, obviously, building those relationships, getting information from them to share with you guys, because they don't hold anything back that they don't have to.
Yeah, there's always that line that said it's kind of the IP line, right? Where they're like, oh, intellectual property, and so we just say up to the intellectual property line. Answer me
they don't
this.
Hold anything back up till that
and
line.
Up, and then they lean in and lean in and lean in.
Just go right up to the line, saying everything they can. I have loved every interaction we've had here.
They've been marvelous. So why FICO? Because they want borrowers to be successful. The whole reason why in 2016 at that FICO, we met with the CEO. I've told the story a dozen times. We met with the Will Lansing, the CEO, who did a massive presentation yesterday morning that was brilliant about the future of the future of FICO's direction. But he loved our business model. So we're here with positive thumbs up from people where they want to improve the borrower education. An educated borrower is going to be a savvy borrower, right? A successful borrower. And we just heard the vice president of scoring. We were in the auditorium when she was rehearsing her presentation for tomorrow.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. She's literally saying they did a massive survey or polling study. It was a full-blown scientific study of the tendency, because some lenders, when they were onboarding the credit scores, they were onboarding, the lenders were afraid that, if people know about the credit score, then it's going to skew the credit score. It's going to harm, the score is going to become worthless. And the data actually, like we know, this
was back in the 90s. So if that were true, everyone would have an 850 credit score, right? Fundable profile.
Yeah, her whole point that she was making was that borrower awareness and actually inspire borrowers to be more fundable and better. The payback, the defaults go down, etc. The more you know about what you're doing, the more you care about what you're doing. So once again, why FICO? Because FICO wants borrowers to be empowered and inspired to be fundable, because FICO's clients are lenders, not you, the borrower. So they want an intelligent, competent, and amazing group of borrowers to send to their lenders, and hence the reason why our invitation and why we get access every year. Every year we get amazing access. So talk about what we were talking about with David and the lender strategies that FICO builds, but sometimes lenders are like,
so this is crazy. Like, I mean, it makes sense after we talk about it, but we've talked to David and Tom both about it, how
name dropping there again. We're drinking buddies now.
The FICO scoring models, but then a common answer that we've gotten this whole week so far has been, well, it varies lender to lender. And yes, that's true. I thought they were dodging our questions at first, but then we talked to David and we really got into the specifics.
David Smith, SPSS guru, genius.
Shout out to David. And he explained it, and he said, no, that's the legitimate answer, because there's some lenders don't take into account your FICO score at all, or they'll do double dipping. So they'll have their own custom models that include your FICO score, and then they compare that against your actual FICO score.
Yeah, we learned some great matrix things where they compare their score with FICO's FICO's algorithm, and then wherever that lands on the matrix, that's their fundability.
So it makes sense, because if everyone was just looking at the same information, that would be so much easier for us to do our jobs and to help you guys. But that just solidifies our point in what we teach you about vetting lenders, making those business banking relationships, personal banking relationships. Don't be afraid to have a conversation saying, what am I to expect from your bank? What are your underwriting looking for? What is important to you? Because it's
Absolutely.
that relationship is such a two-way street. You can't expect the bank to give you the lowest interest rates and all of these extra things and lower annual fees, but then not be interested in what they're looking for and what they want.
Yeah, David even said that there are some lenders who ignore the FICO modeling data and will say anybody below 680, we toss them out. So even though FICO's modeling says, hey, these guys 80% of the time are going to be good or non-risky
one
borrowers.
thing Tom said, he kept going back to it, is one of the biggest things is your current and previous relationships is such an important thing.
Oh, and by the way, when we talk about Tom's new to our universe. Tom Quinn, he's the vice president of scoring, and was referred by Ethan, who we've talked about over and over. Ethan referred him to his counterpart.
This morning, we were leaving breakfast, and I was just checking my phone, going through emails and texts, and I was like, Merrill, have you looked at your emails? And he's like, no, what? And we got like this email saying, oh, the vice president of scoring is going to join you. We
in our meeting
both did the biggest happy dance. We're like, what did we do to get this? We're seriously like kids in
awesome.
Candy Shop here. We're
because we get to geek out again, so you don't have to, right? But we go back to the question, why FICO? Because FICO is used by the lenders. FICO trains lender underwriting software and gives the lender components the underwriting criteria, actually delivers lenders their underwriting criteria. And where they have their own, which are called lender strategies versus score modeling, which new language for me, a new thing I got to learn.
New language every FICO year.
Yeah, right? So lender strategy may be different in some cases than the actual FICO modeling.
But that's okay.
And it's dynamic.
Yeah, that's okay. That's what we want, because that's not always a disadvantage to you. In some places that with certain profiles might work to your advantage if you have a relationship with a bank and they're looking for a relationship with a bank, but you don't have as strong of a credit profile.
Correct. That very may well be a significant positive, because banking relationship, and we've been preaching this for every one of our podcasts up to now, guys, but I'm telling you, banking relationships matter, even if they're pure FICO score driven and the FICO 40 driven. Because when I say score, please remember, I'm not talking about the 3-digit number. I'm talking about the 40 characteristics that are being measured over the 24-month look-back period, as we always talk about. But that is exactly, we got to build those relationships.
So I've told this story at the boot camp before, but for those of you who haven't attended our boot camp, if you haven't been there, I built a banking relationship with a banker in Salt Lake City, and we became really good friends. We started sending each other pictures of our dogs back and forth on Snapchat, and then we started going out to lunch. Yeah, she has a really cute dog, and I have a really cute dog, but that's for another time. But no, I built the banking relationship. And anytime I had a problem or something come up, she knew how to handle it exactly. She made time for me. She didn't get frustrated at any of my problems because we had that relationship. It wasn't just another banking customer coming in, causing problems for her. She wanted to see us succeed, wanted to see me succeed. So she was invested in me. And I am so grateful for that relationship, and that I'm close with her and I can ask her anything and not feel like I'm going to get a vague answer, she's going to answer me.
Yeah,
so
she
that
goes
can
in,
help
gets
me.
the data, see what happened in the account. Or we
Mhm.
once had a check debit fraud. Some people
Yeah.
got hold of our numbers, helped her
The whole
clean
thing,
up everything.
like
Totally,
really quick.
I mean, like top-notch service.
So that's just the importance of, with nothing else. Like this does not, that story has nothing to do with getting approvals at that time or getting approved for anything. But I have full confidence if I needed to go in at any time to approve or apply for a line of credit, a credit card, anything, she would work with me and make it happen because we're at that level.
And you have great credit.
And
So.
yes, that helps too.
Right. So why FICO? Because FICO has the ability to it, first of all, it dominates the scoring, modeling, and fraud prevention marketplaces. And when you know the rules of the game, you can win the game. That's what we talked about from the very beginning. But FICO allows us, we are at Mount Olympus of the credit gods.
They are not
Period.
hiding anything. Trust me, no expense spared here. They are 3 levels of classrooms and meeting spaces just wanting to share everything.
It's amazing, right? And everybody but us are bankers or underwriters or insurance companies or other people who are using underwriting criteria and their modeling software. But FICO is meaningful to you, and knowing why we come to FICO and knowing this isn't just us geeking out. It is you can have confidence that we are actually working with the dominant force in scoring and approvals. Now, I've always kind of I've ragged on the score, saying I don't care what your score is, but let's give a little context to that. I say I don't care what your score is. I care whether or not you're fundable, and that is true. But now that we're talking about scoring, once again, your score, if it's built on a fundable profile, your score drives your rates, your terms, and even in many cases, it's lender by lender, but many cases, the actual limit or loan amount. Your score drives the loan amount. The approval is the lender criteria, right? That matrix that they use with FICO, et cetera. So knowing the rules of this game, knowing the FICO 40, and we're going to get into a couple other things here in just a minute, knowing the FICO 40, knowing the rules of this game allows you to play it
and win it
and master it and win it. So
and we're
FICO,
here to teach you the rules of the game.
Yeah, FICO, and we're learning it we're sitting at the feet of the damn credit gods,
team.
and they're helping us understand how to help borrowers. The borrower efficacy, borrower intelligence, borrower capacity, and education. They're helping us help you.
Before we get into the next topic of conversation, I just want to say I love taking analogies and metaphors as far as I can take them. So if we're going to teach you how to play a game, we're sitting at the feet of the other team, reading their playbook, as far as I can take a joke or anything. So I've got some good ones.
No, it's truly, they're helping us review all the playbooks.
Yep.
Like, oh, and by the way, this play.
And we're like, so we're at the pros right now, playing at like I feel like a middle school level.
Yeah, us? Well, I'd say at least high school.
We're high school. We're working really hard, but
could even be college, depending on, well, SBSS, we're college level ball, right?
Yes, we're bomb at that.
We're killing it. So we are creating a dynamic that you can trust. We may be a few or dozen or hundreds of steps ahead of what you know, but you can count on us, the CreditSense team, myself, to always be pushing forward and learning more. We're not
going to hold anything back from you.
Yeah,
they don't hold anything back from us.
Exactly. And and FICO has been generous, and we want to make sure that you know everything we can possibly
absolutely
put into our software, our educations, our boot camps, the book, right? Go to getfundable.com, click on the book. You're going to see a ton of this. But one thing that another reason why FICO is because FICOs are visionary. I spoke a moment ago about CEO Will Lansing, and first of all, very humble guy. I mean, he's easy to approach, easy to talk to. He'll talk shop with us, and he has in the past. But one of the things that vision includes is what we discovered we call the FICO 150. Now, we met with Tom Quinn today and talked about this, because we just barely learned a few weeks ago
about the
150. And FICO, we call the FICO 40 because between the three bureaus, one uses 39, one uses 42, but of the 150, plus or minus 40 are used as part of their scoring for across the bureaus. There are actually 150 reason codes, or what are called statuses.
So we talked to Tom about this, and before you get into it, I love it's not just in this experience, but FICO is constantly, another reason why FICO, constantly looking forward. They're not waiting for something to happen, or recession, or anything crazy to happen before they react to it. They're thinking right now what's going to happen in 5-10 years, and how their system can accommodate for that.
Well said. Because,
and they're also they're also taking that, and you learn from history, looking back 5-10 years, and where
the recession
we're
going to get to in just a minute. What they're doing, they haven't even alpha tested a new score that we're going to tell you about, but because they're looking back at the last recession and seeing how they can help borrowers and banks.
They just know what's going on.
So that FICO 150, we found out that some of them are from previous versions of the software, and some of them are for future versions of the software. There's 150 reason codes, and I am going to be doing a deep dive. I don't have time to do it here, but I am going to be doing a deep dive on we were kind of dissecting those 150 in one of our conversations, so that we could show you what kind of the global areas in which they're measuring, and it's fascinating, right? Totally fascinating. But as she said, you said it perfectly. They are always casting forward and creating more predictive, to make it more predictive. And the more predictive their technology, the more we align our behaviors around it, the more fundable we are. And that's the whole thing. Get fundable, guys. So the last thing I wanted to share was, so I was in same thing. I was in the executive experience on Monday, and the senior vice president of scores and analytics, and her name is she was the one, Sally Taylor. She was in kind of practicing her again. We kind of got a preview of her presentation, and she did an amazing presentation and introduced to executives the what's called the FICO score
FICO
stress indicator. Yes. FICO score stress indicator.
FSSI. So FSSI. There are so many acronyms at FICO.
I feel like it's the military. It's financial military zone. So this financial stress indicator, it shows where they were able.
What was the name of her presentation?
Oh, it would say which 680s are going to make it through the next recession, right? And they have been able to profile which behaviors, which of the reason codes will, even if you have a 680. Now, we don't want you to have a 680. If you're working with us, we're mid to high or 700s, 800s, based on your quality profile, right? But she was saying that there are some 680s who fell out and went default. There were other 680s who didn't. So we this isn't even in it's in they're literally writing the theory stage. They've worked it out. They don't have a beta test it with the lenders and do all the due diligence that they're doing. They said it's probably 2 years out before this, if it works with a lender, whether or not, but the data, whether or not they use it. The data was amazing. They can literally tell borrower by borrower who might fail in a recession, and how the borrower can change their behavior to make sure they make it through the recession without lowering limits or closing accounts or all what we call punitive measures that they use to protect lender money, right?
Exactly. So once again, they are looking forward, and this product isn't going to be done for months or probably years until it gets out to consumers. But it doesn't just happen right now that they decide to do it. They've are at this point because they've taken data from the last 5 to 7 years, probably more, during the recession, of what 680s stayed at 680 and what 680s just dropped.
Yeah.
And that's not just 680s,
Basically
what
defaulted.
740s were able to hold on to their 740
Yeah.
during the depth of the height of the depression or recession. Whoops.
The depth of the depression. I'm feeling a little
Mixing
morose.
my words here. And which one of them just lost it all. And so they really are looking back, remembering backwards, taking that in, and constantly moving forward.
I would have to say that old adage: those who fail to study history are doomed to repeat it.
That's true.
That's not FICO. That is not FICO. They're already looking. They in classes about what to do in a downturn, right? And so, okay, I won't even. We don't even go into details.
There's so many deep dives we need to do. As soon
which are
as
all forthcoming.
They're coming. As soon as Merrill and I sit down, compare notes, talk about it, you will have all of this information.
Yeah.
Too much for one episode, though. Your ears will be bleeding.
We want you to know why FICO. Why is FICO meaningful to you? Why is it important that we are here, or why you need to align your behavior with the FICO 40? The reason is because you want to be fundable. We want you to be fundable. FICO wants you to be fundable. Lenders want you to be fundable. When you're fundable, everybody, especially and including you, are all making money. Yeah. So everybody makes money. So the bottom line is FICO is important because they are the standard by which they have the standard by which everything is being measured, calculated, and your approvals are your approval, even the limits and loans are going to be based on that criteria. So pay attention. Make sure, if you haven't done so already, gotta attend the boot camp, guys. Go to getfundable.com, click on the boot camp.
you.getfundable.com.
Yeah, that's the specific URL. That's you.getfundable.com. So and be sure to come in and watch. If you haven't watched, this is a great audio one because there's no visuals, but be sure and check out the video version and the blog version, right? Just find this episode and you'll be able to at least read and pay attention a little closer to little bits and pieces that you want to study more. Guys, FICO is I'm not a fan of many things in the universe, but I am a FICO fan. If they were a football team, I'd be sporting colors. I mean, we sport name badges, but I'd be sporting FICO colors. So, but for a reason. It's not because they throw great parties at FICO World.
They do, though. They do.
They do. But because this is the standard by which all 90%, so I'm going to say all meaningful approvals are measured.
They're not going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere, and we can count on them dialing in our fundability over and over and over the next for generations to come. They've been doing it since 57. So and I'll be here for as long as they are. So, all right, guys.
Same.
Merrill Chandler here, your host of Get Are You Effable? Jessica Geisinger, my partner in not necessarily crime. She didn't go to prison with me, so
no.
But she is a business manager and partner.
Yes, thank you so much for letting me be at FICO World with you. I am learning so much and letting me share the crazy awesome things that we're learning here.
Yeah, let me give some props before we go. So part of the reason, one of the main reasons, like Jessica is here, is not because she's a nerd like me, credit nerd, but because since she is a nerd, she is also the keeper of the holy rules engine. We have 2 4-inch binders that are full of all of our optimization rules. We're here. One of the meetings we had was 2 put learn what platform we need to put those rules so that we can put it into our software and our Fundability app.
Hoarding all the information. We can put it out in the world for you guys.
She trains all of our advisors so that they're making the best decisions when building funding plans, optimization plans, etc. So thank you for being here. I love that that we're doing it together, and it's in the right hands, because our Fundability rules engine is her domain, and I'm thrilled that you're running it.
I'm excited that we're going to have more podcasts coming up. I hope I can share some of the more information and deeper dive on what we've learned here.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. Yeah. Guys, have a spectacular morning, noon, and night, and we'll catch you on the inside of the next Are You Effable podcast. Peace. Hey guys, thank you for listening to Are You Effable? Please leave comments, because I would love to read about your aha moments from this episode. And be sure to visit fundinghackers.com to view the blog post, get important links, join our community, and much, much more. And you gotta tell your friends about this podcast. We want them to become effable too.